2020. First item on the agenda is the prayer. Parker, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Lord, thank you for letting us be able to gather here tonight to make decisions for our city and our citizens, Lord. I pray for the moisture tomorrow. I pray that it is good. And I pray for safe travels for all those commuting and going back and forth, Lord. I thank you for everyone in this room tonight, Lord. I pray that you can help us make wise and thoughtful decisions as we go throughout this, Lord. And thank you for all of our first responders in attendance tonight, both fire and police, Lord. Pray that you're with them as they go throughout their weeks, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, United States and Texas flags. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Under the flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, and indivisible.
First item on the agenda is a consent agenda consisting of minutes from January 9th, 2023, and regular city council meeting and committees and board appointments.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor? Any opposed? Item number 1, public comments. Item number 2, presentation of years of service awards to Ruben Valdivia, Marco Contreras, and Alejandro Sanchez.
So unfortunately, Ruben couldn't be here tonight with us, but we do have Marco Contreras and Alejandro. Yeah. So Mayor, you want to take Contreras has been with a year.
Appreciate your service to the Dalhart Police Department. Look forward to many more years of service with you. Thank you very much.
And Alejandro Sanchez.
Alejandro. Alejandro, thank you for your commitment to our city. Appreciate your service very much. Anyone see the picture?
Flip it around so we can see. There we go.
Gotcha.
Don't have anything. I did read that, Brian. Okay. Item number 3, presentation from the Laredo Theater for 2023 hot tax funds.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
city officials, members of the council. My name is Kathleen Pollard. I'm speaking on behalf of the Laredo Performing Arts Theater. Several of you I do not know. Several of you I have not had the privilege of meeting you in the Laredo Theater. So I invite you to come. Our next performance is February 4th. So that's right around the corner. It is a jazz concert with a man from Stratford, who many of you will know. If you can come that night, you will have a very fun time. In your packet, and I presented these at the Hot Tax Committee meeting, so I'm sure Wendy put them in the packets for everybody. It is dated in November because that's when we normally have presentation of all these things. Everything was not ready for us to come and present to you in November. so I can update that to you orally tonight. The Loretta Theater continues to be a draw for tourists, and your continued support and confidence in our theater since the acquisition of our building in 1989 is much appreciated. The arts share of the occupancy tax money is a stabilizing force in the budget every year. This is part of the money that goes to Austin, comes back to Dalhart, and by state statute, they allow a percentage for the arts, and you have consistently given that to us. Our occupancy tax funds are used for both local and professional productions. The mission statement of the Performing Arts Theater is to provide a climate in which performing arts can flourish and to provide a variety of cultural events for our trade area. We also use these funds in advertising to market our events and to maintain and preserve our historical building. The XIT Melodrama is our largest grossing show. A local cast and local crew bring members to our audiences. These are our largest audiences. This past August, we all laughed to the vile veterinarian, or how much is that doggy in the window? We can contract several months in advance on touring artists because we can afford their fees, and their fees are going up just like everything else. In September of 22, we hosted country music greats Shenandoah to a full house. We advertise extensively in our trade area newspapers and radio stations with direct mailings and by digital means. Our Christmas show on December 11th had all Texas performers and was sponsored in part by the Texas Commission on the Arts. It was called the Grand Old Christmas Show. It had many traditional Christmas songs with a contemporary flair. We continue to put heads in beds and thereby earn a share of the hotel occupancy tax. Anytime we leave posters or flyers with the hotels on Highway 54, up and down and around on 87, and we take them to all of the hotels, we tell the owners or whoever's working the desk that this is their motel occupancy tax working for them. And this is what we do with our share, is we bring people in. We appreciate very much your support that you have awarded us in past years, and we are agreeable to that percentage again. Our budget is in your handout for 2023. Are there any questions that I could answer for you? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard. Thank you. Item number 4, presentation from XIT Museum for 2023 hot tax funds.
Show and tell. So that way if I start blubbering, I can show some stuff. On behalf of the museum, my name is Nick Olson. I'm the director of the museum, and we want to thank the city council for your support over the past many years with the bed tax funds. The museum is open 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5. We're open all year round except Thanksgiving Day. And then during Christmas, we're usually closed that week, but we put a sign on the window where if somebody's got company coming in, our phone number will be on there so they can call us. We don't put it in the paper because I don't want to be called all night of the day or have someone keep it forever. But if they're interested enough to bring somebody over, then they can call us and we'll go to the museum and meet them. We're asking for the same amount of funding as we have in the past. Our main goal, our mission of the museum is to preserve the heritage of our area and make it available for other people in the future, not only through exhibits and interpretations and programs, but also for research. We get a lot of people from other areas who've come over and used our publication, our research for publications. This is one that came out last year called Like Dust I Rise. So anytime someone uses it, whether it's for a book or a video like PBS or anything like that, they have to cite the museum as a source, so that anybody reading this book or is showing an interest, they can look in the back under acknowledgements and see the XIT Museum was listed in there, and that'll help bring in other researchers as well. We continually digitize our collections. We have over 309,000 pages digitized online, where you can go online and actually look those items up or do research. Of all the Dalhart Texans to date are digitized. All the yearbooks, school yearbooks are digitized. We have phone books back from 1938 to date. And then we have several different ranches, their papers as well on date online. And so this is really a good source of information. What might have taken hours to thumb through the microfilm or the newspapers, which we really don't encourage because the papers are, when they're old, they're brittle and fair. Now you can just type in a word and you get more than you want. And so you can go through that. We have 28,000 pages or items cataloged on our computer. And that's one thing that we're in the process of doing right now, getting some new computers and new programs. And one of our big feats is going to be taking our old computer program that has all this collection and putting it in a new computer, which is way over, it won't work. So we've got to go through several steps to get there. We're letting the computer people figure that one out. I'm not going to try to, I have enough time, turn it on, turn it off and not losing things. We had over 21 collections brought in this past year. And that's over a couple hundred items. And I just want to give you an idea. This is like a collection of items that we got. Someone sent from Austin. In here is about 150 to 200 documents, photographs, day books going from 1907 to 1916. And in the front here is a part of a flyer. It's 28 by 18, and it's went to Iowa, luring people to Dalhart in 1906. So there's, when you open it up on both sides, there's photographs taken around 1905, 06, and there's prices of land and things like that, trying to get people here. So this came from a family that came in 1906, and they bought a section of land north of town to start with and bought 4,000 sheep. Now, they didn't last long in the sheep business. So they didn't have enough land, so they sold the sheep, but there's a lot of bills in here, invoices, buying land, buying sheep. They moved to California, came back, bought cattle and tried their hand at cattle. So we have photographs, postcards from 1909, going back to the old fire department to early people farming, plowing up the prairie, which are the really neat ones. So you've got a colorized postcard, and on one side is this green prairie, and on the other side, you've got 3 or 4 horse-drawn plows plowing it up in some of the early stages that we've got some bank statements and bank books from Midway Bank and from First National Bank in 1909. We've got day books, working cattle and things like that. There's even a bag of Bull Durham in here and a couple shaving brush and a couple pipe bowls, not stems, bowls themselves. So when we get this is how we get it. But when we're done, everything in here will be cataloged, given its own number, and then we'll put it all in the computer. So if you're looking for just say plowing up the plains or plows, we can pull up that postcard, that image. You don't have to go rummaging through all this. So if you're looking at land sales or sheep, we don't have a whole lot on sheep. So this will be neat to have this stuff in our collection. Or their name was Douglas. If you're interested in that family, Douglas, you can find out information on them. So that's what we try to do. We get all this information together and we put it to organize it, and then people can do research on that. So another thing we do, we have about 4,000 plus visitors a year. We have 2 weddings this year, and we had a couple bus tours. We had a little questionnaire we try to get people to fill out. it's like a lot of things you can ask them and, you know, they just say, okay, and then they keep going. So, but the ones that have filled it out, we figured out 45% of the people that have filled out our questionnaires have stayed at the hotel. Not, and I won't claim that it was because just the museum. I like to think that it was the museum. Some of it is the rodeo board, some might be the theater, or people just stopping by because they had to take a break. But the thing is with the museum there, we're also a tourist attraction all year round. So whether they stopped at the museum or at the hotel for another reason, they came to the museum. And then from the museum, we send them to other places, whether to eat or to shop or whatever. So we're busy all year long helping with that. Of those 42, we asked people, what do you thought of the museum? What were your interests? 45% or 42% said the Dust Bowl exhibit. 45% said XIT, and then 10% liked our wildlife as well. We have finished our third phase of the Dust Bowl exhibit. We're working on the fourth, which will finish this year. And when that's all said and done, then we'll have an opening and I'd like to get some speakers in. So it might be a couple-day event and where we do stuff not only at the museum, maybe because our area is not that big, we can work with the theater and have some programs out there and also do some stuff at the high school or at the schools where someone speaks, whether it's a writing group, maybe the author of this book, like Dust I Rise, is about the Dust Bowl and or something like that. So they're speaking to the high school students as well on some of the things that go on. We advertise through the Travel Host magazine. We have billboards up. We're going to look at putting another billboard up a little further away. We do rack cards that go to the tourist bureaus. This year, we're in the process of redoing our front lobby. When we get that finished, we're going to do new rack cards that we'll send out to those tourist bureaus. Right now, we have at the tourist bureaus, we also put them in the hotels as well. We advertise in the hotels a little booklet and the Corral RV, their little booklet. And I've got page after page, but I'm not going to bore you with it because my mouth is dry enough as it is. So are there any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Item number 5, presentation from XIT Rodeo and Reunion for 2023 hot tax funds.
Evening, how are y'all? I'm James Peoples. I'm the current president of the XIT Rodeo and Reunion. And we're here to ask for pretty much the same funding that we received last year. Y'all all should have a proposal packet that we've printed off and got to y'all. Don't mind, look it over. Got any questions, let me know. Good check.
Any questions?
No.
Thank y'all.
Good job, James. Short and sweet.
Done.
Item number 6, presentation from Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce for 2023 hot tax funds.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I'm Christy Detweiler. I'm the new president of the Dalhart Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for allowing me to be here and represent the Chamber of Commerce and request our hot tax or from the hot tax. We're a multi-service organization that helps promote local businesses and community events. We also function as a visitor center, being right on the highway helps to make it easy for people to just stop in and request information and get directions, ask where hotels are, all those kind of things. We get a lot of phone calls regarding all of that stuff from random questions, even how often they stock the fishing pond, which I actually still don't know. Let's see anyways, questions about hotels that our people can stay at, events, shopping, food, all those kind of things. The Loretta Theater, XIT Rodeo, Thunder over Dalhart, air show. Those are all really popular questions that we've been getting. Our goal this year is to work with the city and be in compliance to maintain regular visitor hours for the visitor center and have it be open when we say we're open, have somebody be there to help people as they stop by and be a regular source of information and that they can count on. We have hired an administrative assistant to be there and implement those hours. we plan to also implement visitor center hours for Saturdays, hopefully by June of 23. We also are going to add merchandise that represents the area for like souvenirs, anything from Dalhart, Texas. Hopefully some of the events like the rodeo and like maybe even Loretta things, whatever we can put in there. We just think that would be a great place for people to be able to stop by and grab some of those items. The hot tax funding is a considerable amount of our budget, which is used for advertising such as billboards, digital and social media ads, printed publications like the Texas Musical, Placer AI Analytics, which I'm still learning more about, but is a geofencing tool to track visitors' attendance at events, and can be utilized for other events such as the rodeo, Loretta, and the air show, and different things like that. And I think that's it. Thank you for your consideration. Do you guys have any questions? Okay,
Christie.
thanks, guys.
Item number 7, discuss and or act upon the recommendation.
You need me to go over that?
Sure.
Okay. The Hot Tax Committee met, they are recommending funding as follows. The Rita at 57,000, XIT Museum at 95,000, XIT Rodeo and Reunion at 80,000, and the Chamber of Commerce at 90,000. This would reflect last fiscal year's numbers.
Make a motion to approve.
Second that motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Item number 8, receive and consider possible action of proposals received for engineering services for application to the TX CDBG 2023-2024 Community Development Fund and associated engineering consideration if funded.
Good evening, council. So we have a couple, or it looks like 8 through 11 agenda items. Last month, one of my staff members, Hadian Fred, spoke to you guys in the development of the application. Kind of the first pieces, and I'll take it a little bit back, is the city of Dalhart entering into an interlocal contract with the Panhandle Regional Planning Commission. We assist with multiple program services, but in fact, right now we are assisting with application assistance to item number 8, which is the Texas CDBG 2023-2024 Community Development Fund. Essentially, this is a water, wastewater infrastructure type of grant that's administered through the Texas Department of Agriculture. And so for last month, as we entered into an interlocal contract with the city of Dalhart, we proceeded through the professional procurement services and needed to send out a request for proposals for engineers, architects to send in their statement of qualifications so that a committee formed could review those firms for them and rank the highest firm needed for that application. And so this was done simultaneously with the water, wastewater grant application, along with the downtown revitalization program that the city is also applying to. And so just for item 8, what you have before you is a resolution. It looks like item 8 and item 9 essentially mirrored a little bit of each other, but you'll have just one attachment. The item that you'll be looking at is resolution selecting that firm. And so today, the statement of qualifications for the 2023-2024 Community Development Grant application, and that's your water, wastewater type of project. There were four engineering firms that submitted, and they were Park Hill, High Plains Engineering, J. Shane Engineering, and OJD Engineering. And so out of the scoring and factors that were scored to, High Plains was selected as the top firm for this application. And then if you were to get funded, they would be entered into a contract with the city of Dalhart to perform engineering services. And so this council has the opportunity to select that engineer for the application development, and if funded, be the engineer for that project. And we discussed a bit kind of what type of project we'd be looking at. I'm not sure if my staff gave a bit of a brief on how much funding is out there for that grant and kind of what we'd be looking at. It's a $500,000 grant. Based off the city's population, there'd be at least a 10% match to score the most points in that category. And this grant is actually just competitive in the region. So it's not a statewide competition. It's just a regional competition in the Panhandle. And I think the city of Dalhart would score favorably well. And we are looking at potentially doing, looks like some water lines in the northern part of the city of Dalhart, since there will be some surveys needed to be conducted. These are household surveys. A caveat to be eligible to enter into this application is to determine low to moderate income households. So the benefit area of these potential water lines being replaced, all the households have to be at least 51% or more of low to moderate income. So that's essentially what we're looking at now. But after this item, you will select the top engineering firm for that project. And then that engineer will be working with the city to develop project maps, project costs, and that way PRPC can plug in all of the application activities all throughout the submittal. So I can answer any questions on the process that we took today. But essentially this item would allow council to take action on the top scoring firm as your engineer.
Which was High Plains, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who was right behind them?
Behind them was Park Hill. I know that's a lot of information all at once, so feel free to ask me any questions about the program itself.
Any questions?
Any benefit? I mean, we've worked with Park Hill before. Is there any benefit going that direction since there's an open relationship, or is that no factor?
I don't think that's a.
I'm just curious.
Any other questions? Item number 9, consider and act upon adopting resolution 2023-01, resolution establishing contractual agreement for engineering services for the CDBG program.
I think
Go ahead.
Brian. I'll make a motion. Adopt resolution 2023-01.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Item number 10, receive and consider possible action of proposals received for engineering services for application to this TDBG 2023 downtown revitalization program and associated engineering consideration if funded.
so. The same process ensued. The statement of qualifications were due at the same time as the other program that you just took action on. 3 firms submitted their statement of qualifications. That was Park Hill, High Plains Engineering, and J. Shane Engineering. Like I said, went through the exact same rating and scoring factors with the same committee. And Park Hill was listed as the top firm to provide application assistance up until submittal and for engineering services if the city of Dalhart is funded. And it's the same grant amount as well. It's $500,000. To be competitive, this is a very competitive grant since it's a statewide competition. I know the city applied just a few months ago. They were not selected, but I think they'd probably score pretty favorably. We were able to conduct a public hearing, which granted you 2 points, and any points that you're able to get is really beneficial. And so a 15% match will score you highest in matching categories. So that's $75,000 is your at least match for that program.
Now, is this the same one we did last year that Park Hill did last year?
I believe so. This is,
Same, it'd be essentially the same one if you go for the same scope of work.
That decreased part of our cost, since it would just be the same thing, or we're gonna have to reanalyze.
Just depends on Park Hill's cost estimates in case that has increased from that time. At that point, that would adjust your numbers. So we can certainly provide that application.
My question is anything that we did last year, can you utilize this year?
We would use all the information we could. Yes, sir. Yep.
Any other questions? Item number 11, consider and act upon adoption resolution 2023-02. Resolution establishing a contractual agreement for engineering services for downtown revitalization program.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep. If you want, you can just write in the engineering firms and scan them over.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 12, consider and act upon the recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission to conduct the first reading. Ordinance 2023-03. Get a motion to open the reading.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Good evening. This is a property at 1002 Matlaw. It was exchanged owners, so he's having to do the whole rezoning process all over. I put in the packets, it is a new manufactured home. And based on the criterias that we set up, Mr. Gonzalez did meet them.
I have a comment. The information supplied is inaccurate and not conclusive in all their in relationship to the primarily the site map and a couple of other areas. So it's not in the proper form. And I would like to address it with the city manager and council before the second reading.
If I may, I speak now on the matter, just wait till. You know, he's bringing up a site development plan that has nothing to, in reference to this trailer house being put in a residential. And all the information that he wants for site plan, development plan is it recommends if the trailer house is being put in commercial or industrial. This is not, this is being put in R3. In R3, according to our ordinances, you just have these few things on section 40-38. Number 3, I mean, all it asks for is one manufactured home be put on this property, which that's the case. One manufactured home shall have a minimum width or not less than 20 feet as measured in all points perpendicular to the length of a manufactured home. What that's referencing to is you got your length of your trailer. And then of course you got the other lines that are perpendicular with that length is that width on both sides. Each one is 14 feet, 14 and a half. That's 29 feet. So it means that. The new manufactured home shall have a minimum living area of 900 square feet. So it's got 1,000 something. But in this section, everything has been covered. And in this new criteria that we had made up for trailer housing when they come in, excuse me, he meets all the recommendations for it to be put in a R3. I mean, in our planning and zoning, a gentleman brought up a deal about the parking. And I researched that. I don't know what he was referring to, but I found what he was talking about is, and they have enough space for this, but they gotta have like 8 foot width to 23 feet in length. Well, this gentleman's gonna put a half moon driveway. And that whole lot is 170 feet. So he has the requirements for that off-street parking. Plus he has parking in the front on Matlock. He has 2 more spaces there. So they got plenty of parking for that case. What is recommended for a site plan development is a lot of things for the deed. You need things like that. You need to know where the water's going, the easements and stuff like that. This doesn't involve this. This is just a person wanting to put a trailer house on some property. To my staff, we recommend through the planning and zoning, which they recommend to you all, that everything's kosher. Say.
At one time, we talked about you guys having a checklist before it went to planning and zoning, and you have that checklist.
Yes.
And it
Yes,
Yes,
checks off like it's supposed to.
yes.
yes. And I had made this checklist because there was a lot of questions and concerns with, the council members. Anytime a manufactured home was coming in, other questions arose. So I put all of that in a packet and I brought it to Stacy and, to our city manager. We went over it for weeks and this is what we came up with. And according to this packet, Mr. Gonzalez does meet the requirements. And, I don't see why he wouldn't be approved.
So this is being brought back because it changed ownership, correct?
Yes, sir. And it was approved.
When was it approved? The
I
first
believe it was in July
of this year,
of last year.
yeah, 2022. And
So
really changed.
anytime that it exchanged owners, you have to go through the whole rezoning process. It was just never enforced, but I'm doing that now. So that's why we're here.
But nothing changed.
Oh, no, it's still a new manufactured home, still the same measurements, things like that. So that's where we're at.
Mr. Mayor, I still request meeting with city manager and legal in relationship to, they're talking about manufactured home installation. We need to address the situation with the rezoning, which is under special use. First reading, we'd just like to be able to do that for the second reading.
Okay. So any other questions or comments? I guess we need a motion for.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Item number 13, consider an act upon adopting ordinance 2023-02, an ordinance of the city council, the city of Dalhart, Texas, on the city's regular election to be held May 6th, 2023.
Make the motion, we adopt ordinance 2023-02.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 14, update on the transfer station.
So in your packet, we just have some correspondence that we received from High Plains in regards to your questions for an itemized invoice. I will tell you that Adolfo is here. So if you're wanting to ask questions typically, you may be open to that.
Any questions?
Yes, there's still the question about an itemized statement. And there is also, I have questions that need to be addressed about the incurred expenses in relationship to the bond. How that was designated for the expenditures to the bond. There is a question of, well, I guess the basic question is, was the engineering expense included in the bond amount?
Adolfo, can you answer that?
That I don't know the answer to. I don't know what was included in the bond when you guys went out for that. I had to guess, I would think it was supposed to be all inclusive for the permitting, design and the construction fee, but I don't know for a fact I wasn't part of that part.
And then the question, related to the invoice, we want an itemized in of the,
Yes, and so on that invoice, it's broken down by position and by phase. So if it was the design phase, the permit phase, and then each position listed the hours. So it was already itemized about as much as it could be itemized on the work that was completed on our end. And that went through to the bid phase and the permitting phase. So you had pretty much everything up to when it was ready for construction in that invoice.
Part of the questions in relationship to that is engineering, or was it failure in the part of the original engineering layout that they had to come back with, and I forgot the terminology, not to do acronyms well, about the committee that control of environmental, the DCED, whatever it is about the environmental impact. We had to come back and do it again, and then we had to come back and do it again.
I don't know about that. I know that when we're going through the permitting, we submit what they request, and then they go back and say, you know, what does and doesn't apply. And so it's an iterative process until somebody reviews and approves a permit. And that's all done before the construction. And then before that, even TCQ had violations on the permit or you guys taking in more waste than you could handle. So a lot was already being diverted. So that's kind of what led to having to do the transfer station. So there was those violations from just, you know, you guys, too much waste coming into your undersized permit. So then you have to have a transfer station. And now in the permitting process, that's what you're talking about. Then that was just the iterative process of working with TCEQ is you submit, they review, submit, review, so you're approved. And then since then, it's just been, as far as I can tell, been under construction, and TCEQ hasn't really said anything on the transfer station itself. As far as how the landfill is operating, I don't know, Dennis, if there's any other issues that have arisen there, but that's not related to the transfer station.
No, just other than us going over our 20 tons a day. That usually happens around July through about November. That's the reason why we have to transport some trash to Amarillo. Almost for about a month, but there's been nothing else through TCQ violations or anything like that.
I think there was a question about the dating of the invoice in question. Can you enlighten us on that?
2017.
Yeah.
Began in March of 2018, but the invoice stated that it began in, was it May of 17?
Yeah. So what had happened is the discussions, I guess, when our company started working on it would have been that first start date, which was the date in 2017. And then all the discussions and back and forth with the previous, city manager and council on how to proceed forward and how to look into the TCQ arid exemption violation, and all that started then. And so as that went along and they decided to go forward with the fund to build the transfer station to address the issue, that's why that time started then. And then when it came time for the bid process and it bid, that's when the company had invoiced. So it was the span of 2017 to, I think, was it late 2020? So
2.5 years.
So that was all the time between when it started, when the discussion started, and when it was out for construction.
Is it a common practice to just bill in bulk hours and not have itemization of how those hours are actually spent?
Yeah, that's generally what we do. We'll do a phase. So it's so many hours for an engineer and a drafter and a surveyor for the preliminary design, and so many for the design and so much for the bid or the permit. That's usually how we break down our invoices. We don't itemize down to pencils and stationery copies, none of that. It's just, the time incurred. So when it's billable time, when we're actually working, is what accounted for. And then depending on the work being done, so you might have a licensed engineer doing something that doesn't necessarily require a license. So then that's invoiced as a technician time and things like that. But what you get is just the lump sum of the hours. And if it's not broken down hourly, that's how we invoice you guys specifically and a few other clients. The other options are a lump sum percentage fee. So it could be 5% of the bid, and then you just get a lump sum invoice of 5% of whatever that invoice or that bid comes in at. So it's not out of the ordinary. what is, might seem a little weird about this. Such a long time span, the previous owner of the company, Dwight Brandt, was able to finance that for so long without having to invoice. If a project of this scale goes on for so long, there are times when he'll invoice incrementally and say, hey, it's been a year, I need some funds, and he would invoice on it. But on this one, he was able to, hold out on that and send one large invoice at the end of that phase.
What would have happened if the bond wouldn't have passed? How would that invoice look?
Well, it would have been essentially the same invoice as we were authorized to do the work. So, if you're authorized to do that design, then we would invoice for our design time. And then you end up owning those plans and specs. And so when the time comes, if you do try for the bond again or another funding mechanism, then you have a shovel-ready project. So.
I still have a question about if the engineering fees were separated out of the bond, and is that why we're over budget on that because it was not inclusive in the bond?
Right now, we're close to, I think, $483,000 in engineering fees. And over 300 of that was the first bill that was paid.
So I don't know for a fact if that was included in the bond. I think it is. I do know that the bid came in higher than we had expected. The project bid in 2020, and we had a lot of volatility bids at that time. So I know the job bid, the bid originally came in way over budget. And we were able to reduce it down by awarding it and having the contractor go back, and essentially he took some more time to renegotiate with specifically well drillers and the septic people to do the water system and sewer system out there, because their bids would go way high and then way low. And at that time we were bidding, it just happened to be real high. So he renegotiated and we cut $500,000 off the job there, about 600,000. And that still put you at about 500,000 over the original estimated budget, I believe. So if the project's over budget because the bids just came in high, and we cut what we could at that time. What we couldn't cut essentially, or unfortunately, that had a lot to do with the project, was the earthworks. And the general contractor who was awarded the project, his subcontractor also bid the project as a general. So he had the same person bidding the earthworks, and that was going to be the same regardless. And that came in real high at the time too.
So it looks like the contract from the notes that you sent me was let for 2 million after they did the change order.
Yeah, it was a little over 2 million.
And I think
your bond was
it's taken out at 2.5, 2.6, and we're still over. So the question becomes, if we let at 2, we took the bond at 2.5, 2.6, and we're still over that. We're significantly over what it was let at.
See, and I don't know. I can account for all the invoices for the contractor, which come in, they're still under 2 million on that. And then for our invoices, I don't know. I can account for all that. I don't know what the bond exact dollar amount was. So if it was the 2 million, then I don't know where that would have gone. So I can count where we have all our invoices plus the contractors. So all that's there. And I don't know. I don't have the paperwork on your bond to see the dollar amount on that.
It's just my understanding that we had to bid, had the package. Package went down through the water. And then it went back up in relationship to the building and all of that. So it still came out in the wash, the same amount, pretty close. I just don't understand why it's so far out of line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just a question I have, what caused it to be? And who it's the city's responsibility for inaction, or whoever it is, why it is so much, and how, some way to figure out why it is so out of line.
I can get you together every pay request and sum it up to show everything that's been certified for us, for you to pay to the contractor, as well as all our invoices, and you can have an accurate account of that. And then if you could compare that to what your bond was for and see what else, if anything, that could have been spent on. I don't know if there was other expenses for equipment out there, or I mean, I don't know what else are requiring land, maybe something, but
And we do know that there is some fees that was inclusive in because of discovery of situations at the hand that was not on the engineering. So we had to go change things.
yeah, and that's,
But it doesn't account for that much, but
you know,
in disclosure of all of the engineering and all of that, some things were not inclusive and we had to pay for it.
yeah. And so I can also look to see what our original or opinion of probable construction cost was and see if that kind of matches what you had gone for on your bond issue and see if that, well, that would be all inclusive in that one too. So like I said, I think up until now, I really thought it was because the project had bid over budget, and that's where I thought the discrepancy was. So
You said sometimes you'll bill out like 5% of total bid, right?
Mhm.
So if you look, we're at 20% roughly right now, right?
Mhm.
So it's a huge difference.
well, I was just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Generally, your design phase will be 10 to 12%, and then your construction phase goes up from that. This was a design phase and a permit, so doing the permit for the landfill included as well. And then up to now, we've been doing all the construction phase, and so and that's not unreasonable.
So is the permit request, is that included in the construction of the transfer station?
That was in the design of the transfer station. So we had to design it to be able to permit what the transfer station was going to be and then submit that to TCQ. And then they go back and forth saying, you know, you're too close this way, you're too far that way. We need more walls here. It's every little rule they nitpick and you go back and forth. And once your design's good, they issue your permit. We actually do construction design with the specs and then you're ready to go. So that went together. It's kind of like when you do a wastewater treatment plant. You have to have a plan that you're going to permit. Otherwise, all you're doing is speculating what it could be, and there's no proof that it's going to work. So,
Gas line debt, have anything?
no, that's going to reduce some of the project.
So are you looking for those items for next council meeting, the ones that Adolfo is
That'd be great.
offering us to
Yeah,
provide?
I'm put together whatever you need and see what I can add up, but I don't know. Like, so as far as itemizing, there's really not much else I can do other than account.
So it would be the certified paid invoices, is that?
So yeah, I'll get you the pay requests that will be certified for the contractor to get paid. And all the invoices we sent that we got paid on, I can tally all that up for you. You'll have a total of what your expenses are to date. And then I can tell you what the expected final cost will be on, because I know what the contract's going to be on the finishing of the transfer station and estimate what ours is going to be. To close that out, it's not much more. And then we can work on figuring out what the bond was issued for and see where the discrepancy was.
And the next council meeting is February 13th.
Yep.
So are you requesting presence as well?
Could you be here at that meeting as well?
Yeah, I'll be here. It shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, let's say.
Item number 15, update on temporary road closure at Texas and First Street.
The road has currently been opened. City staff has taken the maintainer over the road, and it is currently being used.
And we're continuing to do the improvements to it on the.
And it's also in our capital improvement plans to take a look at the engineering for it. Yes.
And the engineers are looking at it now,
Yeah.
Yes.
and all of the safety factors are back in place. I don't know, I was over there, I didn't see a stop sign the other day.
We can double check.
Any other questions or comments on Texas and First?
Does the fence cause any visibility problems going out on that street?
I think it could. I think when you're pulling out of that street, that fence may cause line of sight issues. I've been trying to get a hold of the TxDOT engineer out of the Dumas office to clear with him all that to make sure whatever's put there is going to be safe and meets their line of sight, stopping distance requirements, and also driveway widths. Once we know that for sure, we know what we can fit in there because it is going to change a little bit. There's not as much space as there used to be. But without just going and putting something in, I want to make sure that they clear it for safety.
It's hard to see out.
Are we looking at putting any hard pack on it? Or tighten that sand up yet? Or is that
So I think we're waiting for recommendations right now.
from? Okay. Thank you.
Item number 16, discuss and or act upon the request from the Dalhart Volunteer Fire Department to retire call number 600.
I'll speak real quick and then also like to ask Chief White to come up here shortly. On this, when we requested this, there were some scheduling issues with some other stuff and everything, but we're just asking for your support from you guys, and this is our city leaders right here, and that's all we're asking for is our support on this. Excuse me. Chief would have hated all the attention and all the fuss that we've gone through, and he'd have hated it. But he was a great man. He's my best friend for over 2 decades, mentor, road dog. We did a lot of stuff together. We did a lot of training together for years. And this was his call number. We'd call him on the radio. And again, like I said, he would hate all this attention that he'd get for that. He'd just be like, hey, let's whatever, just give me some barbecue and a monster. We're good, But I'd like to ask Chief White to come up and just kind of speak on the history of our call numbers.
Mayor, City Council, thank you all. So a little history on call numbers. We all have to have them. Everybody in emergency services has first responders need a call number. Either unit numbers or personnel numbers, whatever it is. We're kind of in a unique situation in Dalhart and Hartley County. We have 4 volunteer fire departments, 3 EMS services, 2 sheriff's office, a city police department, a town marshal's office, DPS, a game warden, and along with those county numbers, we have all the county employees. The city numbers, we have the jail employees with the Dalhart County numbers, all the city employees, unit numbers. So it's pretty confusing if you're a dispatcher, and Michelle can testify to that. What happened was in 2011, there was a lot of confusion and controversies about numbers. Judge Gordon and Judge Ritchie tasked Curtis and myself and Michelle with trying to figure that whole system out and get it to where it worked for everybody. But it was still operational, mainly for dispatch. And so we worked on it a couple of weeks. We come up with a system. We had a meeting with all the department heads, sheriffs, everybody met, everybody agreed on it. And to this day, everything is still the same other outside of Hartley County Sheriff's Office went to a 4-digit number, and which works well for their department. So 100 numbers are Dalhart County. That's anything from the jail through Dalhart County SO and the Road and Bridge Department. 200 numbers are all the city of Dalhart numbers, Dalhart PD, some of the city work stuff. 300 numbers are still Hartley County Road and Bridge. They're the only ones that are still in that system. 400 numbers are Dalhart EMS. After they dissolved, they still use those numbers once in a while, but not very much. 500 numbers are the town marshals and text line. 600 numbers are Dalhart Volunteer Fire Department. 700 numbers are Hartley Volunteer Fire and EMS. 800 is text line fire and EMS. 900s are Channing Fire Department. I'm not sure the number of numbers there are out there, but there's a lot. One number meant a lot to everybody. And that's 600. These guys can tell you if we were on scene somewhere and you heard the number 600, a relief come over you. You know he was there. That all changed October the 4th, 2022. at 19:45 hours and 11 seconds. Was the last time 600 was heard on the radio. He cleared his department from the wreck at Stratford and was headed back. That was the last time he ever spoke on the radio. All we're asking is y'all agree, along with the two counties have agreed to retire that number. That'll never be used again. But anyway, that's where we're at on that, and we appreciate y'all doing this for us. It means a lot to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mario. Any other question or discussion?
Denisa.
Lisa.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stand over here though, because I want to see too. So Curtis truly loved this community and he loved his job. He was one of the lucky ones that got to get up. He told me every day he got up that he got to get up and go do what he loved. And recently Stacy presented him with 17 years of service. During that 17 years of service, he had good times and he had bad times. But the thing about Curtis is that you would never know the difference. He persevered through that. He pushed through. And not only that, he excelled. He is loved and admired by this community, and he is loved and admired statewide. He is truly one of a kind, and there will never be another 600. And we ask that you support us in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Denisa. Any other questions or comments? I can entertain a motion, retire number 600 from service.
I'd like to make that my motion, to retire 600 from service. Dalhart.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 18. Discuss and or act upon adopting resolution 2023-03.
Skip 17. Sorry.
Discuss and or act upon our police department fleet program. I mean.
I've got a short PowerPoint I put together to help y'all better visualize what we're looking at here. I'm going to start out with what we got, give you all a visual representation of what's sitting over there or out running on the streets right now. And then show y'all what we want to go to and how we're going to get there with the funds that we currently have. Okay, you can go ahead and skip to the next one, please, sir. We'll go through these pictures pretty fast, but we get to the end of it. If it wants to cooperate with us.
I don't know if you just want to go back and then just show each slide. Doesn't have to be. That's just, this is being too finicky. This is one of our current vehicles. The red marks on there that look like scribble. Those are dents in the side of the vehicles. We got paint and the striping package, that blue line that was put on there, all that stuff's peeling off. The mirror underneath is broken. It's kind of hard to see there. Go to the next one, please.
The two at the top, those are the spotlights. They're cracked, they absorb water. They're just old, they're outdated. We don't even use that style anymore. The big picture in the middle is the molding off the side of the vehicles. We have two of them like that has just come off. Next slide, please. Right there, you can see one of the seats. They're just worn out. They're ripping, tearing. The cushioning is flat. The armrest over there is completely worn out. Does more damage to your uniform than give you comfort. Next slide, please. Another vehicle, same style seats. Cushions completely worn out and they're falling apart. The lining inside of them comes out when you get in and out. Next slide, please. These are the lights on the front. You see one pointing forward and one sideways. It's because the mounts are old, they're broken. Similar thing on this next slide. And the solution there was zip ties. There's just zip tie them on there, so it looks real tacky. And it's just expensive to replace those pieces for their purpose. Next slide, please. This is the current laptop systems that's in those cars. They're relatively big. You can't take, it comes out as a whole thing. So it's a laptop altogether. So that's what's currently in the car. Next slide. And that's where we want to go. That's a scheme of a car that we were looking at. Next slide, please. So the paint that you see on those vehicles is what we're looking at right now. It'd be the old fashioned white across the center and the black in the front and black in the end. So that's the style we want to go to. Next slide. It's just another picture of what is proposed here. Next slide, please. Those vehicles are 2023 Dodge Chargers. This package includes 15 of them. They're all V6 with EcoBoost, all-wheel drives, new updated lights and siren package. They have a core system linking all the cars together. And what that core system does is anytime two vehicles get in the same thing or say a pursuit, it makes their lights match. Or if you're behind a car that's in a pursuit and their lights are flashing in the rear, you pull it behind them, it will kill their lights. That way you're not blinded in that following them. So it's a pretty fancy updated new package. And then they have, I called them, and the problem we've been having with these cars now is there's no way to keep the drain from the batteries. So we're replacing batteries left and right, and those things are crazy expensive. So they're willing to not change anything on my pricing and work in there and add a master cutoff switch inside. So we can take the car from all the police functions out of it to just a normal basic car. So they can kill that. There's no drain on the battery other than, you know, your radio and things like that, that in everybody's car function on a normal basis. So that'll help preserve battery life and save a lot of problems we've been having. And since they're coming with this package, the only thing maintenance wise that we're really going to be responsible for is the daily or monthly oil change, tires, things like that, that we're having to do now, plus the other maintenance costs that breaks down. We got to pay out of pocket to fix all those things. So we're getting them under warranty, and it's a 5-year, 100,000 mile warranty. So outside of just normal maintenance, all those expensive costs will be covered through the contract. Next slide. So built in these cars is a new Peacemaker technology. It's a new computer system that gets us out of the Stone Age. We've been requested to get records and numbers and such that we have to go sit down and sort through papers and count and tally. This will take all that away, so it's all digitized. It has a built-in GPS in the cars. With this new computer system, that's something that we currently pay out of pocket for right now to have that ability. So this will eliminate that cost. And this computer system is under a warranty for 6 years. So these tablets are anywhere from $1,500 to $1,700 each. And if one breaks, they come and they replace it, no cost, for free. So the whole system, like the car, is covered under a separate warranty just for the computer system itself. And then every 6 years, they come in, they take these computers, which in 6 years will be almost outdated. They take it all out and they install brand new computers at no extra cost. It's just part of the program. So as long as we maintain contract under them, they handle the maintenance, replacement, warranty work, and then every 6 years they put brand new equipment in the vehicles. See. So where the vehicles we built and they put all the lights and sirens and bells and whistles, the computer company will go down there and build it with them. So when the car shows up, we just put the key in it and we're ready to go. Already got everything there. So that'll save us from them coming up here and doing it here where they charge us $250 to $300 a car to install it. We just build that into the package. They do it down there. So the car is ready to go when it gets here. Next slide, please. This is of course, taking off the computer, the internet. This is a visualization of the tablet or the computer that goes into the car. So remember, the ones we currently have is actually a laptop. You can't separate keyboard from the screen. This one here has a tablet or a keyboard. So that's what it looks like. And next slide, please. And these are pictures of that actual tablet installed in a police vehicle. So you can pick up the top, take it off like a carry handle. You can take it to a scene, take pictures with it and do what you want with it. Or you can take the whole thing out together and it works as a laptop altogether. And you can see built on the back of that apparatus is a cooling fan, which helps keep the computer running cool. So it's got a little new technology that helps it run smoothly. So you got a tablet, laptop. It's much more maneuverable inside the vehicle with the stand and the base that they put it on. The other one's kind of limited on where it can go. So this one, you can lower it, raise it, spin it all the way around. You can run it from outside on the passenger side of the car, so you don't have to get back in the car. And Hartley County currently runs these in their vehicles. So when I speak from experience, when I say it's the best thing out there right now. Next slide, please. And now what y'all are interested in is the dollar signs. So since I can't read that far. So we looked at budget figures. And this took me a long time to get together, a lot of frustration. So in 2021, 2022, for vehicle maintenance from our garage system, $18,000 is what we can account for. That number is actually way higher, but because of paper trails and things that weren't done properly in the past, that we have fixed that problem now. That's all we can precisely say that was spent on maintenance. That GPS system that we're paying out of pocket for, you can see that's just over $8,000. And we're paying that annually just to be able to see where the cars are at. And that's outside of the computer system or anything else. That's a separate thing all on its own. Then the ticket writing system and all that stuff that's built in. And that year we spent $7,600 on that. And then we have a fleet capital expense of $70,000 annually. And that was not spent in 21, 22. So we could have replaced a car that year and we didn't. So that money was there. So in total, when you add all those together, it's over $100,000. And then Miss Stacy, if I mess up, you help me here. So the cost of the new 15 cars, fully equipped with the lease, the computer system, all that stuff that I pitched to you is $151,000 annually. Now in the 22-23 budget, for the garage maintenance, we have budgeted for $40,000. And I can tell you in these first 3 months of this year, we spent $10,000 on maintenance. So this is just an estimate. And then we have the GPS system that's $8,300 and we have not paid that through this year. So there's a cost cutter right there that we can kick out. And then the Tyler Technologies encode system on the new computers, we can get rid of that as well. And then we still have that $70,000 on the car because I'm trying to get 15. So $126,000 is what we're showing be budgeted for the 22-23 year. And then if we move over to the projected actuals, I think we said, okay, we got 25,000 on maintenance fees that we've spent. And then projected, sorry. So we're projecting at least 25,000 at the rate these cars have been going. I had 2 this morning with battery issues. I anticipate it'll be much higher. And
This is with the new program. So the 25,000 would be the oil changes and the tires.
okay, thank you.
This is
with new cars.
yes, the new cars.
Okay. Now I'm on track. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we anticipate to spend. Which you can see the difference in that versus what we have spent or projected to spend if we stay with what we got. And then that 8,000 would be eliminated on the GPS.
It will be eliminated in 23, 24. Unfortunately, we've already spent it. But moving forward, it will be eliminated.
It'll be gone. And then if we do this, then we don't have the 70,000 that we've currently been getting budgeted for a new car. And so we're going from 104,000, 126,000 to the projected would be 36,000. So there's a big cut there. So the cost of the fleet and the projected expenditures at the top, we're looking at a total of 180,000. And if we look,
I'm sorry.
now go right ahead.
Hang on 1 second. So the new cars would be 180. And then your total is gonna be these two numbers right here. So your 180 and your maintenance is gonna give you that 216. So that would be your new total going with the new vehicles. And then considerably less had we stayed with the old vehicles. Sorry, Tom.
No, you're fine. I was working on the top. So yeah, you can see the total there is 216,000 and in 21, 22, we had budgeted 255,000. And then 22, 23, we anticipate, or we have budgeted 277,000. So there's a huge difference in what we've been spending, what we anticipate to spend, and what we would spend if we went to this new system.
And then the budget moving forward from 23, 24 would be similar for the next few years because of the length of the lease, just to kind of give you an idea. So it would follow that projection throughout the next couple of years.
So how long is the contract?
6 years.
6 years.
Yes, sir. So 6 years would be new cars, new computers. It would just keep rotating. Instead of one every year, every 2 years. I think they've been doing about every 2 years, but with maintenance costs and the cars keep falling apart, we're trying to play catch up all the time.
How many miles are on these cars now?
0. They will be built.
No, I mean the
Oh,
one
these out here?
units that we have
I
up top.
think we've got one around 70,000. And those are numbers I didn't get prior to coming in here. I didn't anticipate those or I would have got them. But I do know we have some that are 2017, maybe a little older than that. And then we got a couple 2020s. 2020 is our newest vehicle and everything prior to that.
Average mileage you put on a car per year, do you know?
I could tell you when I was in the county, but the city is a different life. So these cars are running constantly. And like I said, we run in 2 at a time. And sometimes we got one that's in the garage and we're having to borrow somebody else's car. Or one in particular has had to run several nights, 24-hour period. It goes from one officer, they get out, the next one gets in, they keep going just because the others aren't working or having mechanical problems.
These come with radars and everything all set up in them?
Not radars. I got some programs I'm looking at to donate those. I'm working with our municipal court judge on some funding she has to donate those. So those are things that, and we have radars in most of them. Some of them are a little outdated, but they mostly work. So we can make those work and then eventually get one here and there until we're all up to date on those.
What's the time frame you're looking at for, have they said, I mean, I know just the time frame that anybody is looking at for an automobile.
Yes, ma'am. So
Timeframe.
they said as early as June, as late as October. So it would be this year.
Is that the full fleet or is
That's not the full fleet. That's just them giving me a rough estimate because they may have 15 built all at once, or it may be coming 3 or 4 spurts at a time. And they wanted to charge us $1,000 per vehicle to deliver them. And I can fly a group of people down there for way cheaper and drive them back and save all that money on that end. So I was able to cut 15,000 out of this number just by saying we'll go get them ourselves.
What do we do with the vehicles we have now?
Auction.
some of the auction?
And we have several of those that's to auction off, and some of them are worth a good amount of money and some of them be a little less, but every one of them is paid for. So in a sense, everything will be profit that we auction.
Will this allow every officer to have their own vehicle?
Everybody will have an identical vehicle, fully marked, almost identical to what I showed you all the pictures of, and that includes myself, the lieutenant. There will be no more unmarked vehicles out patrolling the streets. Everybody will have a full functioning patrol vehicle.
So going from an Explorer to a Charger, living in a community of, my grandma called them snuff streets, you go block, take a dip, you know? Does having a Charger with low clearance, does that hinder that?
It's going to take some backing off of the pedal, so to say. They're going to have to be a little more cautious about the driving. The reason we looked at Chargers is because that's the only thing we were Explorers, Tahoes, Expeditions, and even pickups. We're looking at $75,000 to $80,000 a piece just for those. And these, when you cut the numbers, they're going to be about 60,000. So it's substantially cheaper. So that's the only reason we're going with them, because it's the actual only patrol car out there that they make right now. So we either keep doing what we're doing, or we go to the Charger, or we just buy a new car every other year or every year.
So what about the warranty on it and where's it done and the cost applied to that to get it to the place it's supposed to be taken care of?
So it's a Dodge vehicle. So our local place here, or even in Dumas, they could work on that for us. So
On the mechanical part, but if it implies into the police, into your officer's equipment.
and I'll say this again from experience. These are two great companies, Cat Fleet and Peacemaker Technology. They will drive here and fix it on site. And there's a lot of things like this core system where I told you the cars match. So there's a program and a computer that I'll have access to, so I can change like light patterns and things like that. And occasionally the software needs an update. So they call, they tell you plug it in, hook it up. They walk you through how to update or fix a problem, or to even find out what a problem is, to find out if they need to come, but they will drive up here and do all that.
And locally, they're certified to work on a police car. I know you'll have these worked on locally, but just.
Yeah, the only thing the Dodge would work about would be your normal powertrain stuff, that vehicle stuff. Any of that cop stuff is going to be warranted under Cat Fleet or Peacemaker, and they will come up and take care of all of that. And that's no extra cost. That's built into the whole package.
And the local people won't mess up the electronics on the.
We would hope not. We had that experience in the Explorer the other day. They took it down to Ford House, got it fixed. We got it back, sirens, lights, nothing worked, and they just happened to blow a couple of fuses. We got it fixed and back on the road, but.
And so on the vehicles we have now, is it, the mileage is not conducive to the condition of the vehicle, correct?
Right. This whole fleet system and, things in general at the PD have been neglected. Like this funding is here. I was able to make some numbers work in our favor. And it took a lot of work, and I just think that that's been looked over by prior administrations. It's there, showing it to you how we can do it. But we got to make these cars work for 6 years. And if we run into issues with the cars, then we learn that cars are just not the way to go. We're going to have to figure out a way to go to SUV or go back to every other year, buy a new car, and then we go with the SUV. But in the long run, annually, it saves us a lot of money.
They speak for you, chief there. He takes care of his equipment. I noticed the other day, it's the first time that I've seen in probably 4 or 5 years. A clean patrol car on the outside. Somebody washed it. Now, and you don't think much about that, but that means a lot to the life of that vehicle and stuff to do. You look in his vehicle, there's not gonna be candy wrappers or cigarette butts or cigar butts or trash in there. It's clean. And I know that he will see that his people will keep them clean. It enhances the ability to use a car to get in and get out of it and it be clean. And I have seen it both ways. I had inspections on mine and stuff to do, and I know he will too. And that is the essence of the fleet, even if it's far, then you don't have half the maintenance problems with them. But the other thing, in town tires are vehicle problem too. There's no good one, just the way it is.
Well, I know at one time we were running the LT or the Crown Vics for years. And the problem with those, they were too low. The railroad crossings, there was a lot of issues with them.
I reflect a lot of the back on the person behind the wheel. I could guarantee you, I could get one of these cars myself and drive around town and not have an issue. I know there's a dip, I got to slow down. A lot of that's just lack of care and concern. I was approached when I first got this position about why are we not cleaning the cars? And it was, well, look at them, they're old, they're junky. So my pitch was, I'm going to take all your new guns away. I'm going to give you a 20-year-old Glock. It's worn out, it's rough. Are you going to clean it and take care of it? oh, we get the point now. So a lot of it's just, they have to be built in and they need to take care of their equipment and be proud of it. So, okay, those are things I'm working on.
One of the President council members to remind me or remember, what did we spend all of the money for programs with the police department in the last 18 months, 2 years?
It was the body cameras.
And no, it was in the cars.
It was in the programming in the cars.
And the only reason I'm bringing that up is that go out the window. All the investment we put in.
Already exempt from cop sync.
Yeah, we no longer use Cop Sync anymore, as far as the cameras and stuff that are in the car.
I think that was the camera thing.
On the one, there was another issue in the background.
The upfitter, they're a certified installer of Axon products. So all we have to do is remove them out of the car, box them up, send them down there, and they install them on site. And I used to upfit and take down all the parts off the cars at the county before they went to a fleet program. So I'm real savvy in that technology and how to put it in, take it out. I could technically do it myself, but if they're gonna do it for free, I just got to get it to them and I'm gonna send it to them.
And the bottom line is the budget worked.
It also leaves enough funds. So this number right here, Tommy, do you want to 24,000?
Then explain that again, please.
I've not even gone over it yet, but I'll explain that right now. So both counties and the city have all worked off separate systems over the years. There's been no link since everybody quit using Cop Sync. So Cop Sync before allowed what I did in my car for you at the city to be able to run that license plate and see the people driving it and all that. Well, we've gotten away from that. So everybody's on something completely different. For me to go pull numbers, if you wanted to know how many officers stopped or a certain officer stopped so many people, it's kind of a complex task with the current technology we have. We still get paper call sheets from the jail because they have to write everything down. This new system, if a cop stops somebody, the dispatcher does not have to, I mean, that'll be up to them whether they do or not. They do not have to write all that down because everything the cop does in the car will automatically populate at the dispatch center. And whatever dispatch does on their end, if they run a person, it will populate in the cop's car so they can see it. So it takes a lot of the radio traffic out and actually creates a digitized record of everything that's done. So everybody in the county or the two counties will be on the same page. Hartley County got the okay from their commission to go to this system. Dalhart County currently runs it, but they haven't run it to full capacity because it doesn't do a lot of good to them if everybody else isn't on board with that. So this system would allow us to all operate on the same thing, and it'd just be a lot better for fluid paperwork and all that stuff like that.
And we'll come back next council meeting to review that. And if y'all would like to pass that moving forward, but what we wanted to do was show you how we can afford that, if that makes sense. So in order to get vehicles, then we have some budget money left over to go to this new system. So to kind of do it in reverse, I wasn't able to show you the budget ramifications and now I can. So that's why we did vehicles first.
Do you need a motion from us?
We do.
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the Dalhart Police Department Fleet Program.
I can't.
And would that motion be for resolution 2023-03?
Absolutely. For financing. that.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we need to adopt it.
Well,
Yeah.
We just did. So we're on 19 now.
Yeah.
You just jumped the gun.
Right.
You got excited.
Well, I did have a question. Is it lump sum payments or is this?
This is the payments for the next 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, monthly, yearly?
The year installment or monthly?
Divide it.
It's a good question. I just saw the big number for the annuals, but we will have it because it's what we will.
I just wondered how.
Yeah, I will find that out.
Tax money, I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask that at that time.
I mean, in the text line, we divide it out
Divide it out.
12 months. So that's what it was.
Item number 19, discussion of future agenda items for city council.
I I need to apologize. I thought approving the consent agenda and then the boards and what was it?
Boards and committees.
Yeah, recommendations were gonna be two separate line items. So that's something that needs to be talked about.
It's under consent.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want the transfer station on the next agenda.
So it's a done deal. Is that just a question?
Yes.
Okay.
That part of it, that you do have the options. Bring it up
If you'd like, if the mayor approves it.
if you want to discuss process in council.
Would you like to discuss it?
I think it would be beneficial to make it public. If possible. I mean,
So you just wanted to be known that the two main members that were replaced are going to replace with Dwayne, correct? And who was the other one?
Right.
Brian, that's temporarily for you.
Temporarily.
On the EDC committee, and we still, that leaves one open seat, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Do y'all have any other people that's interested in working with y'all on EDC?
Yes.
They are talking to a couple different people, I think.
And there's a committee that is put together that looks at open positions on the board. Correct.
That is correct. On every board, not just CDC.
That's part of the process to go through, is that it went to committee for vetting.
so is it supposed to be vetted by council then to vote on those members being placed?
So this is the committee's recommendation
To do what?
for those.
Just approve.
This is the committee has chosen these people to serve. It's similar to what we did when we've done it on all the other boards and committees. That was approved.
Yeah, because in the past, it's been an open discussion in council, so that's why I was confused on that, and that's my fault. That's my shortcoming.
And in the one that was just done, it was consent agenda.
And the previous one was consent agenda,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
I guess you have to address a selection or something like that. It just, I don't know how you would place it on it because it's not a recommendation of, I'm not, it's not a recommendation of the committee. It is.
It's who they chose.
He wants to describe. Topic, however, the person asking for the agenda item is going to discuss.
So do you want more information?
That's up to everybody else. It was just, I felt like I needed to apologize for jumping the gun there.
Did you make the motion to approve the consent agenda?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like there was probably a discussion that needed to be had just for transparency, but again, I jumped the gun, so that's my shortcoming.
Any other discussion? Okay. Any other items for future agenda? Any comments from city manager and department heads?
Mario, do you have anything?
Just briefly, and everybody's like, man, finish already. Just briefly, I wanted to ask our leaders of Dalhart. Our leaders of Dalhart, anybody, everybody in here is a leader of whatever organization or business or whatnot. Your first responders are needing your help. We need your help. We need advocates to raise funds for this new emergency response center. It's been a really slow start. We're not really catching speed, but we need help on this. It's not a want, it's a need. We have century-old buildings that we're using now that are jam-packed, full of equipment. There's different problems with all these different buildings. The original emergency management or emergency response center, the EMS, it still has jail bars in it. We really need your help. Dalhart, we need your help. We need advocates for this to raise funds so we can get this going, get this done. And this will be a great benefit for our city. Have all of them there. There's schematics already put out. There's engineering that's been already put into this. There's financial accounts. It's already set up for this. We just need the help. We need the help get this thing going. So, if you have any questions, where to go, who to ask, what's going on, any questions on any part of that, you can find me, any of our fire officers, any of our firefighters, any of our police officers, also our EMS, EMTs, you can talk to them also. Please give us a shout and please help us out. We need your help.
When is the chili supper, Mario?
First Saturday of March.
When y'all gonna start settling those tickets?
We start soon. We got started soon.
Anything else?
That's nothing, right?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
Thank you.
Favor? Favor?
Aye.